Hello.
Hey, welcome to Raging Perspective with a kind of sexy elevator start. Did you enjoy the music?
Jess was like, we need some like dated music to just bring up the vibes. And I was like, you know what? We should do Tom Petty. I didn't know who Tom Petty was, but alas, here we are.
I actually thought that you were kidding about not knowing him, but here we are again.
I am kidding. That was great
Oh,
bait on my part. If you guys are just joining, make sure to hit that subscribe button right over there to the Partners Perspective and to Prof G Media because we do this every Wednesday. And I'm so excited to be back with you.
and this Wednesday is different from all other Wednesdays. I
Oh,
did a
why?
little like Passover thing. Anyway, because we are live on Substack and also on YouTube. So
Oh,
welcome to our YouTube watchers. We chit chat for 28-ish minutes and then we take your questions. So please drop your questions in the chat here on Substack. If you are on YouTube, you can ask a question if you have been a subscriber for more than 5 minutes. I think. So wait it out. Think about your questions or something like that. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. That's the rule. 5 minutes though, just to make sure you're really into us. Okay. Big day on the Hill. I know this is one of the stories that you most closely watch
you're
because
talking about my Taco Bell order, right? Is that what you're talking about? One of the stories
oh,
that I've been covering?
we are going to get to diarrhea.
Okay, great. Okay.
Because I also, when you have little people in the house, it's just like, poop talk all the time. So it's kind of
Correct.
incredible that it's a problem for dozens and dozens of states that they're also talking about poop all the time. But I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the Epstein files.
Oh,
See what I
yes.
did
I
there?
mean, that is a big story.
It is a big story, explosive as well, but in a different way. So Todd Blanche, who's been in the acting attorney general, is sitting on the Hill as we speak for his confirmation hearing. It has been intense, to say the least, and there has been, I would say, more pushback from Republicans on certain issues than I expected. Let's look at a clip to get a little taste of what Blanche had to say with Senator Kennedy.
Why don't you just release everything? Just let it rip.
Well, that would be against the law because the only reason we could release the $3 million we did is because of the Epstein Transparency Act. There are federal laws that prohibit the release of case files, and the Epstein Transparency Act was very explicit and specific about what could be and should be released.
Is that true?
It's not true. It's not true.
The
Yeah, I
lying
mean, he's
again.
lying again. So the thing is, it's so funny when he says this. Number one, they got 6 million documents. Nowhere in the Epstein Transparency Act does it say you can't release duplicate documents. In fact, if you look at the 3 million documents that they have released to the public, many of them are actually duplicates. And so it's funny. On one hand, Todd Blanche says, well, the reason we're not releasing a lot of these documents is because they're duplicative. And then on the other hand, releases duplicative documents as part of the first 3 million tranche. So that's number one. Number two is there has to be a reason, a legal reason for why you don't release documents. Yes, some of them they can't release, right? Child sexual abuse material has to stay private. They can't release it. They can't release videos of abuse, for example, without proper redaction. Even with proper redaction, it may even violate the law. Granted. But they can release emails, they can release photographs, they can release text messages, they can release all types of documents that they have in their possession, duplicative or not. Nothing in the act prevents them to do so, unless they have some sort of privilege or if it's child sexual abuse material. And the kicker to all of this is that they just haven't provided the privilege log, right? They're supposed to provide a log outlining here every single document we're withholding for on the basis of privilege. Here's what the privilege is: attorney-client, executive privilege, attorney work product. here's what the document says, a quick summary, and here's why we're withholding it. They haven't done that. So that's where we're at.
I'm curious as to why you think, because you interview Epstein survivors all the time, and there are 10 of them who are in the room right now as the confirmation hearing is going on. And Blanche was asked specifically, will you meet with the survivors? And he said, like, someone from my team is available to do that. She'll do that. What is the deal with refusing to meet with survivors? Is this one of Trump's weird rules, like you can't say that I lost the 2020 election, or they
It
like
could
why?
be. I mean, I don't get it. I honestly don't know because there's
Like
nothing that prohibits the attorney general from sitting down with survivors, whether or not they have counsel or not. The only difference would be if they had lawyers, which they all do, would be you have to sit down with the survivor and their lawyer, right? Like, but the survivor can be in the room. You can still sit down with the survivor. The lawyer's there. I mean, Todd Blanche sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell for 9 hours inside of a federal facility with her lawyer. He could do the same with a survivor today, tomorrow, whenever he wants. There's nothing that prohibits him from doing that. What's interesting, because, and it goes a step further, right? If he's saying, well, we have someone senior at the Department of Justice running the ship, she's willing to meet with you guys, but I can't. You're the same DOJ official. You all represent the same agency. You are held to the same code of ethical conduct. Like nothing is different just because he has acting AG next to his name versus, I don't know, head of the child exploitation division.
yeah, it feels like a layup to me that they just refuse to take, where you could get a lot of this negative attention off of you at a time when people are rehashing what's perhaps the most disastrous plot line for the administration, like something that has really sat in the craw of longtime Trump supporters who believed that they were going to see the Epstein files in their totality and that there would be prosecutions
Well,
from.
yeah, I mean, it's the worst cover up in American history. It is the worst cover up. It is worse than Watergate. It really is. I mean, there's nothing that's in comparison to this because it's not just what this White House has done. It's what every White House has done since the 1990s.
Well, that's a little depressing because you always want to be better and improving. I say that kind of as a partisan, that I hate that it's also Democratic presidents who didn't do the right thing about it. But here we are on that. There were other topics that they got into, like, do you remember the weaponization fund that we were obsessing
Yeah.
about, and then it went away? Senator Cornyn from Texas was grilling Blanche about that. Let's look at a clip.
I believe you have said that the weaponization fund is a moot issue. Is that your position?
Yes, it is a moot issue, meaning there is no weaponization fund. The weaponization fund is dead. It's not moving forward.
Has there been a written agreement of the parties to modify the settlement fund?
No, the settlement fund's just not moving forward. There's no modification. It's just, it never started. No money went from the Treasury to any other account. There's no commissioners. It's not moving forward.
So, I mean, Trump got smacked down pretty bad on that one, even by the right. And there is more to that exchange with Cornyn. We just don't have time. People didn't come here to just watch clips of John Cornyn. So that's why I'm back to us on that. But, by extension, they got into this conversation about pardoning violent J6ers. And, Blanche is really twisting himself into knots. I mean, from reporting at this moment, a couple Republicans still unsure about Todd Blanche. Lindsey Graham is not there. His sister is taking his place after his passing. What do you think the fate of Blanche's confirmation looks like?
So I think right now, if I had to guess, it'll pass. He'll get confirmed. And the reason, truly the only reason at this point, we're halfway through the hearing, why I think that is because I think Democratic senators don't know how to land a punch on Blanche.
Really?
And this is my constant problem with Democratic senators when they're questioning witnesses in these high-profile confirmation hearings. They're not Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris knew how to land a punch. She landed a punch on Brett Kavanaugh, on a lot of witnesses back when she was in the United States Senate. She was like the key questioner. They don't have that right now. Yeah, the closest person to that is someone like Adam Schiff, and he's up later today, and we'll see if he can land the punch. But so far, be it Dick Durbin, Sheldon Whitehouse, Amy Klobuchar, I mean, they haven't landed a punch. Their line of questioning hasn't been cohesive, hasn't really gotten much out. And at the end of the day, like, everyone knows what Blanche's kind of faults are, right? Everyone knows you're going to hit him on
You mean that he's the
January.
president's personal lawyer?
Well, yeah, I mean that, but like everyone knows you're going to hit Blanche on January 6th and on Epstein, and like he knows what you're going to hit him on. You have to catch him off guard. You have to get him flustered. You have to throw in a personal jab somehow. You have to cross-examine him like he's a witness on the witness stand. And right now they haven't done that. It's kind of been softball after softball, not in the sense that the questions are friendly to him, but that they're easy to answer. Like, for example, one question I saw, I think, from Senator Chris Coons was, why do you think that judges aren't able to say whether or not Trump can run for a third term? And that's such a softball question because the answer every lawyer is going to give you is, well, I'm not going to speculate. How am I supposed to know how someone else gave an answer, right? You can't give him the ability to answer questions like that easy. It has to be more pointed. It has to be more forceful, and Democrats have dropped the ball so far.
I wonder also on how effective in general rehashing the same question, like did Joe Biden win the 2020 election actually is. Like I've been also watching Jay Clayton's DNI hearing, which is also going on in the Senate. And I thought John Ossoff has been doing a great job. I'm very much in the bag for John Ossoff as of late anyway. He looked very presidential with his questioning. But, I think he did land a punch on Clayton about this, where Jay Clayton's someone who I think will get bipartisan support actually for the DNI job. And, people have been speaking out about Democrats have about how qualified he is, et cetera. Like, it is beneath your intelligence and your career to not be able to just say Joe Biden won the 2020 election, then Donald Trump came back and it's the biggest, comeback in history or whatever. But I guess for the average person that's tuning in, they're probably like, I would like to know something more substantive than whether this person, how well they answer or how well they dodge around this question that we've been asking now for 6 years, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also on January 6th, too. I don't know how much the average American, unfortunately, cares about January 6th. I don't know.
Well,
I
think we had a few elections that told us that they don't care about January 6th.
Right. Listen, Sheldon Whitehouse had prime opportunity. If I was asking Blanche questions and I was Whitehouse, because he went down the $50,000 payment to Tom Homan
the Tom
route.
Homan. Yeah.
Oh my God. I would have peppered him with the fact that not only did this happen, but he doesn't know about it. It happened in his DOJ and he's leading the DOJ and he doesn't know about it. Like that is catastrophic. How does the Attorney General not know of a bribery investigation that reached the highest levels of the DOJ and had to get sign off from the highest levels? But he didn't go down that route. He kind of just let him get out of it.
But I mean, don't you think he was lying? Because that's how it read to me. And I want to talk about what's going on with ICE. So this is a perfect segue in bringing up Tom Homan. For those of you watching, if you don't remember, 2 FBI agents caught Tom Homan taking a bribe, $50,000 in cash in a kava bag. One of my favorite lunchtime spots. And it never comes up. It is so weird that it's just like
That's
a
your
non-issue.
Money. Taxpayer dollars. Where is that money?
And it was an FBI investigation. So yes, the idea that Todd Blanche would be able to say, I know not what of you speak, I know not of what you speak, is absurd. But it did feel like he had to be lying because that had to be in a prep packet anyway.
For sure, but him saying I don't know about that, and if it's a lie, that is perjury. You can't, like, saying I don't know is not a way out of answering a congressional question. I mean, then if he's lying, what senators should do immediately is they should send a FOIA request for all emails related to Tom Homan between Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi.
Okay. Well, if you're watching Sheldon Whitehouse in your bathroom break, please send a FOIA request. So we've had these horrific ICE killings back-to-back weeks. One in Houston, then in Maine, both not the subjects of the investigation. The man in Maine, Juan Guerrero, actually had work authorization to be here. Yesterday, they acted swiftly and said that they were stopping all vehicle stops That practice that came from Secretary Mullen, apparently. And Susan Collins was trying to make it like her thing, but apparently Mullen was like, no, we're not going to do this anymore. And then Trump gets online this morning and says the traffic stops are back, which I mean, he's always dependable for that. What do you think happens? Do you think this could turn into a clash with Mullen and Trump? I assume it's really Trump and Stephen Miller and then Mullen, or it'll just go back to normal?
No, I think it'll go back to normal. And also, if you saw, by the way, when they confirmed the traffic stoppage, they were like for most traffic stops. They always
Yeah.
left the door open for traffic. And I spoke to someone yesterday in my DMs. Traffic stops were happening last night. And so they never actually stopped. So I think that was just a way for, honestly, what I think happened is I think Susan Collins called Markwayne Mullin and was like, "Hey, I need help in my election. Can we do this? At least a PR publicly, and then whatever happens, happens." And I think Mullin was like, "Fine, no problem." And then Trump is like, "Screw Susan Collins." That's what I think happened.
I mean, I could believe that. She did also get on the phone very late. I could not believe that for the first like 24 hours of the story, it was really only Angus King. That
Correct.
was like Maine had one senator,
Well,
essentially.
she was deeply concerned. I don't want to take that
Very
away from her.
troubling,
She was
disturbed,
deeply concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's and she could still win. It kills me. It does feel scary though for the era that we are heading into, like the next several months heading up to the election, because I feel like the immigration pendulum is swinging back towards Minneapolis style. And I know Trump has his address tomorrow night, Thursday evening from the Oval Office. It is supposed to be about election interference in the 2020 election because we're still litigating that. But it feels like it's also a ripe opportunity for him to start talking about the militarization of our cities again and our polling places.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it's going to be a terrifying speech. I'm going to watch it. I don't think networks should carry it, or if they do, they should fact check it in real time. I think he's setting the stage for declaring a national emergency over the upcoming elections to try to seize the voting machines, seize ballots while they're being cast, crack down on mail-in voting in a way that we've never seen before, direct USPS to essentially not send mail-in ballots to states or send them late or send them obstructed. I think that, and I've said this a long time on here repeatedly every week pretty much, if Democrats want to win without issue, they have to make it too big to rig. They have to turn out in such a way that the only way they can, such a way that there's no question that Democrats won.
Yeah, and it will be all centered around the Save America Act, which if you
Correct.
aren't familiar with it yet, get familiar because you're going to need to be armed with the facts about what the Save America Act is. It is not a voter ID bill. It is a citizenship bill. And it will disenfranchise more right-leaning voters than left-leaning voters because we tend to have passports. It's be a lot of women who have changed their names, and so their IDs don't match. Students who are away at college, and people like me, frankly, who didn't have my birth certificate when I went to get my real ID and had to go back 3 times.
Correct.
So that'll be happening. We're back at war. I feel like every week I say that.
We're back
but
at
this
war.
time it's for real. He walked back his 20% toll on the Strait of Hormuz, says it's going to actually translate into business investment. That never comes to fruition. I brought this up yesterday on air and I said, what are we at, 17 trillion? And Jesse Waters was like, no, it's 19 trillion. I was like, I get that you all know that this is a joke, like that this man is a joke, but the fact that you're leaning into it that hard and laughing at the same time feels like such a betrayal of like the seriousness of the office or like what we're supposed to have in terms of governance. But this is Trump talking about what is going to happen to Iran.
I'll save the energy targets for last, but ultimately we'll hit energy targets, yeah. But we're going to hit them very hard tonight. We're going to hit them very hard tomorrow night. We're going to hit them very hard the night after. And then next week it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
So Bridge and Power Plant Day, I think, happened the first time in March, then it happened again in April. And I guess this is the sweaty July edition. Does anyone take him seriously at this point besides the markets?
No.
Just everyone wants to make money.
Some people take him seriously. I know Barack Ravid really does. Mark Caputo, the team at Axios, they really take him seriously. So I don't want to take that away from them at all. But other than them, no, I don't know who does.
What is going? I mean, again, I feel like a broken record. Like, what is going to happen? I can't believe that war has gone down the totem pole so low. It's like the fourth story that we're talking about at this point, and it feels like it's just going to kind of meander around like this until there's a major spike in inflation and gas prices again, which should happen, in a week or two when they had just gotten that a little bit more under control. But it is very hard to see a legit resolution. Trump, said this morning, they called me, they're desperate for a deal. I think it was, I don't know, like the 114th time that he said that.
Yeah.
But at some point, this does have to end.
Does it? I mean, I ask that
Yeah,
seriously
like we're not
because
gonna have,
because well,
A
as Trump likes to
peacekeeping
say,
force. We're gonna have a naval blockade forever.
Vietnam took 19 years. That's what Trump
He
likes
does
to
bring
say,
that up a lot,
right?
Yeah.
Like Iraq, Afghanistan took over a decade. Like it doesn't actually have to end. There are forever wars. I mean, that is a term for a reason. This could be another quagmire in the Middle East. This could be a forever war. And yeah, I think it'll take another president to come in and put an end to it. But at that point, I don't know what that looks like.
Okay, you're not making me less depressed, I should say. I want to talk a bit about Venezuela. Now we know that Marco Rubio has the strangest of text message relationships with Delcy Rodriguez, who replaced Maduro. And we are effectively running Venezuela, which was what they told us was going to happen. So that's interesting. But what I thought was even more interesting is how much he's talking about the International Criminal Court and the fact that the U.S. now are going to do everything to disband it. He said brick by brick, but it's actually metal and glass. If you want to get specific about the court, what do you make of what Rubio is doing in Venezuela or the threats about the International Criminal Court?
Well, I think as far as Venezuela goes, I mean, that's another story that's kind of just fallen onto the wayside. But Rubio's having like love letters sent to Delcy Rodriguez, the leader of Venezuela, and it's just like,
With like pics.
it's
like
crazy.
And he, I wonder what his wife thinks. It's like, I get it. It's work, but like, I don't know.
Rubio
I wouldn't like it.
Rubio is the governor of Venezuela right now. I mean, that he is that, and it's kind of crazy. Like, Delcy can't sit down for an interview with Brett Baer without getting approval from Trump. Like, it's a lot. So Rubio is running for governor of Venezuela, or is the governor of Venezuela. As far as the other stuff goes, what was the other part?
The International Criminal Court.
Oh, the International Criminal Court. I think that's a Bibi dream that Rubio is executing. Bibi hates the International Criminal Court. They obviously have their arrest warrant out for war crimes.
Because they think he's a criminal.
Correct. I think Trump in part fears the same. Not because like if the ICC is,
but we're not subject to their jurisdiction that way.
We're not. Neither is Israel. But here's the thing: we're not subject to the ICC jurisdiction. But if an arrest warrant is issued, Trump can't travel to Berlin, for example, because Germany is subject to the ICC jurisdiction, and they'd be required to arrest him. So his ability to travel abroad, and that's why you see Bibi not really being able to travel anywhere but like the United States. An arrest warrant really does restrict it. It also restricts Trump's ability to do banking in European countries, right? They'd have to, like, for example, freeze accounts in Deutsche Bank in Europe, things like that. So it's very complicated, and the last thing Trump wants to deal with is a war crimes arrest warrant.
Yeah, I think on his list of shit he's already got to handle, he's like, I actually can't take anymore. I thought it was really interesting. I was reading about past presidents' relationships to the ICC, and the Trump administration is certainly not the first. to be opposed to it. And the trajectory actually within the Bush administration was pretty fascinating, that they were against it. It was like, there's no reason to have this, let's disband. And then when the genocide in Darfur took place between '03 and '05, and the ICC was one of the only bodies that could actually punish folks for that level of crime, they were then became supportive of the court. So that was just like a little interesting history lesson, I thought. But I'll be really interested vis-a-vis Bibi and the court, what happens in September,
Yeah.
because he has to come here for UNGA, or he's going to come here for UNGA, and Mamdani says that he is a war criminal and would respect the ICC's designation, which is pretty interesting.
We'll have to see.
Yes, we'll have to see. Tune into the Raging Perspective in September, and we will talk about it again. There were like 8 more stories I wanted to get to, but we only have time for one. Did you find Elena Kagan and Coney Barrett on the Hill interesting about asking for the
I,
increased security funds?
I did, but I'm a nerd when it comes to the Supreme Court. So yeah, I found it interesting. I don't know if other people did.
Are the people watching this, do you find it interesting? I found it interesting. I like that it's also bipartisan. I know Kagan regularly goes. But I think it is a good show of force, especially at a time when people feel like the court is so politicized, that you had a liberal justice and a conservative justice there side by side talking about their experiences.
Sure. I also will say, though, that the committee members were, again, weak. I mean, like, you have 2 Supreme Court justices there. They're not going to answer your questions, but this is the time to, like, ask them. And, like, none of them really asked the hard-hitting questions. And, like, even the questions on the shadow docket were just so, like, oh, we know you can't answer it, but I'm going to ask it like, no, just freaking ask the question. Like, stop being so weak. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of people.
And they're big girls. Like Elena
Yes,
Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett can handle anything
Oh,
you got.
if I were there, I would read Elena Kagan's dissent, where she calls out Amy Coney Barrett's majority opinion, and vice versa, and like kind of force them to go at it a little bit.
Like the
That
Real
didn't happen.
Housewives of the Supreme Court.
Or like the
Do
Supreme
you
Court.
know what
who
that
should be
is?
able to-
Are you too young for Real Housewives? I mean, it's still going.
I'm a Real Housewives of New Jersey fan, so of course I know what the Real Housewives are.
Okay. All right, we're going to take some questions from the audience. Jacob Anderson wants to know, what would you say to the Maine voters who feel lost and that they're not getting a say in the candidate?
I would say you're right. Like that's it. I mean, like, but it's like the best scenario out of the best outcome from a shitty scenario. Like, I don't know what else. There's really is no other option. Like, there's no mechanism to hold a whole statewide election again. So this is kind of the only way they can do it.
I tend to agree. I also tend to, most of all, want to win elections, and this is the best shot at that happening. I've actually become more optimistic about it since Plattner got his name off the ticket. When he said he wasn't going to run, that was one thing. Then I was like, get your name off the ballot, like do the formal withdrawal. And now that he has done that, I feel even better about it. I will say also that this is fundamentally different from what happened in 2024. And I hope that Maine voters are conscious of that Graham Plattner was on the ballot because of the democratic process,
Yeah.
right? And the idea that, I mean, I guess Joe Biden was too. Maybe I can't make you feel better. It's kind of shitty, but I think there's a chance that we could win. And the fact that these delegates should be responsive to the will of the voters, that there will be debates. I think they have one tomorrow night, right?
I think so.
night
Yeah. Yeah.
At 7. So tune in, make your voices heard. There will be lots of snap polling and things like that, and hopefully they can capture general attitudes. So it does seem like Troy Jackson is ahead by a lot.
Yeah.
Andrew wants to know, what does Lindsey Graham's death, Mitch McConnell's hospitalization, and even Democrats' experience with Dianne Feinstein and RBG mean for voters' push to elect younger candidates?
It just means that voters should elect younger candidates, and that younger candidates should run. I mean, I've been a proponent of this a long time. I mean, even I really, yes, age is just a number, and I don't ever want to sound ageist, but I think that it's not, for me, it's not, actually, I'll rephrase this. It's not about age, but rather time in office for me. So if you are an 85-year-old man running, or woman running for office, are good, and you've never held public office, go for it. Like, I don't want to ever stop you. But if you're Chuck Grassley, who's been in office longer than most people have been alive in this country, it's time to go, right? Like people should not be dying in office. People should not be um, like on their last breath in office. So it really just depends on the person, obviously. But I also like I'm a big proponent of term limits. Like it shouldn't take this long.
I'll play the part of Scott Galloway and say that biology is ageist, and so it's okay for us to be as well.
Okay.
And add that Richie Torres has a new bill that he's putting forward to punish people uh, who take these extended health absences, like what happened with Tom Keene and what's going on with Mitch McConnell. And AOC was interviewed about it today, and she said, like, this should be illegal, frankly. Like, you shouldn't be able to deprive your constituents of representation. Last question. No Taco King, which seems like not a real name, asks, why are we passing political positions to family members like a monarchy? So that's about Lindsey Graham's sister, Doreen.
That's because that is the United States of America. And we've actually been doing this for a long time. And it's not even just passing to family members, which, I mean, like there are districts in Florida, for example, that have been represented by the same last name. There's a reason why, if you look at who's run for president over the past 20 years, the nominees are either a Biden, a Trump, or an Obama. Like Biden, Trump, Obama, or Clinton. Like that's it. There's only 4 last names. Yeah, I mean, it's just the American way.
Yeah. I don't love it. And I love Debbie Dingell, for instance, who got her seat when her husband passed. But yeah, I think there probably should be some prohibition against it, and you should have a snap election or an appointment of someone who at least has some semblance of experience. I understand that if Lindsey Graham had had a first lady, it would be his sister, or that's what he said. Internet, do your thing. But it's obviously really inappropriate. And she's just going to be a rubber stamp on everything. And like looping back to the Todd Blanche hearing, like the judiciary being down Lindsey Graham, who really likes Todd Blanche. So I'm not saying there wouldn't be a tremendous amount of ass kissing going on there. Like he did play a vital role actually in these committees. And especially on budget where he was the chairman. So
Yeah.
I don't think Doreen is going to be doing that. That wraps another Raging Perspective. Joining us on Substack.
Make sure to subscribe.
YouTube, Substack, wherever you are. Like us, love us. See us next Wednesday at noon.
See you next Wednesday.